Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday to you, my friends. Oh, it's so good to see you. You guys, it's been a day already. Like, checking the clock. It's only 1 p.m. Well, it's like 1:02, or it's just like a couple minutes late today, but it's so early and so many things are going on already. Ugh, it's just one of those days. But you know what? That's all right because I get to come here and be with you guys. So I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain at all. I hope you guys are having a great day today. Hi, Deborah. How are you? It's good to see you. Hi, Linda. It's good to see you too, my friends. Stacia's here. Everybody's here. Yay. So let's chat a minute. Peggy's here. Hi, Peggy. Marianne, Cynthia. It's so good to see everybody. Oh my God. It's like everybody just came in all at once. I think Facebook's got a little bit of a longer delay than normal, which is funny. So everybody just like showed up all at once. But it's so good to see you guys. So, okay. So a couple of things before we get started with today's project. I just want to tell you, if you are a Hardwired member, our Hardwired Live for this afternoon is actually going to be rescheduled to tomorrow afternoon at 4:30 p.m. Don't forget about that. Just set your reminders for it. And of course, if you can't make it, you can always watch the replay. Got to take a kid over to the doctor's office, right? And so it just happens to fall at the same time that we had our live scheduled. So I apologize for that, but you know how it is. Let's see. Anything else? Yes, I've got one other thing to tell you guys. Let's see. So just in case you have not yet signed up for Sam's bead box, you guys, today is the last day to sign up for the November box. And if you use the code Sara, S-A-R-A, that's me, you can get $5 off your first month. Okay. So if you're looking to subscribe to that, today is your last opportunity to do that. And you can get $5 off if you use my coupon code. So don't miss out on that, right? Don't miss out on that. Let's see. Anything else I need to tell you guys? I don't think so. I think for the most part, the rest of this week is just going to go as scheduled. But you know what? Just to be on the safe side, let's check the schedule just to be sure, because I don't want to leave anything out. Guys, it's already November, and I've got to get myself a new planner because I'm starting to plan for like the next year, and I'm like having to draw up my own calendars. Because my planner doesn't go any further, right? I'm going to have to get a new one. So let's see. What else is going on today? Checking the day. It's the 9th. I know. I don't even know what day it is, you guys. Oh, I'm glad I looked. I have a Michael's class tomorrow. If you want to come and join the Michael's class, guys, come on over. You can sign up for those and get a little notification. It'll let you know before the class starts. That's at 2 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow afternoon. Right? I think that's it. I think that's all. Oh, Sam's in the house. Yes, Sam is here. Yay. Everybody else is here. Nicole, is Nicole here yet? She keeps sending me messages and I'm like, Nicole, like I'm live. I think she was curious if I was having a live because I had to reschedule the later live today. But yeah, I'm here. I'm here. So let's chat about today's project. I wanted to do a project that we've actually kind of done this before, but it's been a long time since we've done it. And this is a really popular technique. It's really easy, but it was a really popular technique when we did it the first time. So I thought, you know what? I have these really beautiful beads that I want to use to make a necklace. So let's just do it together and we'll use this technique. So we are using some 20 gauge German style wire for the project. I'm using this antique brass color because I don't use it nearly enough. I feel like I need to give it some more love. Oh, excuse me. Yvette's here. Yvette. Hello, my love. So anyway, we're using the 20 gauge artistic wire. No, it's German style wire. Totally threw me off my game. And I love this color, but you can use any color that you want to do this project. We're also using the large bell making pliers. Now, if you've got the stepped bell making pliers, you can use those as well. But for those of you who don't have the stepped, I figured it would be easier just to do the project with the large bell making pliers and not leave anybody out, right? You're not going to need much of anything else other than just like your regular findings, which I did not grab, but they're all around me, so I can grab those. Andrea says that I'm on her 50-inch TV, and that is terrifying. I'm so sorry. I know she's excited about it, but that's a little mortifying for me because it's like, oh, I hope my pores look okay. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm in a mood. Okay, let's get down to business, shall we? No more time to waste. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this. And it would help if you guys could see, but I forgot that the cover is blocking the camera. So, oh my, what mess I have here. Okay, don't judge my room and the dog toys, okay? I know you guys don't. Okay, so my white beetle on mat is actually in the wash. You guys be proud of me. It's actually in the laundry, but that means that we have to use this yucky, gross kind of color that washes everything out today for our bead mat, but that's all right. These are the beads that I have chosen to use for today's project, but you can use literally any beads that you want to. I had this really beautiful strand of these specialty lampwork beads, and I've been wanting to put them into a design and then put it into the shop. So that's kind of what we're doing. I'm doing a 2-for-1 here. I'm putting together a project that I want to put together, but we're also learning with each other. I've also got some of these faceted glass rondelles just to use because obviously there's not a ton of beads here and I need to work up some length. So we're going to be doing two things. We're going to be doing some large links or large loop wire wraps with our beads for the front section. But we're also going to kind of put in some of these messy like wire wrapped links that don't have beads. Okay, so we're doing two different kinds of little wire wraps for today's project. So what you're going to need is this 20 gauge German style wire. And for a wrap that you're going to do that needs a bead, you're going to need about a 5-inch piece. For the ones where we do the messy wrap with just the wire and no beads, you're going to need about 8 inches of that. But we'll do this one second. Let's start with these first, okay? So I didn't even pre-measure the wire or anything. I thought we would just do this start to finish with each other. I'm going to use my heavy duty cutter here because I don't know what gauge wire these beads are on. Okay. For everything else, though, I'm using my blue cutter. All right, so you're going to need about 5 inches of wire. And I know that seems like a lot, but we're making large loops. So remember, it takes a little bit more wire to do a large loop than it does when we make our regular wrapped loops. We are going to start this out the exact same way that we start everything else, and that is with our chain nose pliers. We do need to come down a little bit more on our wire, though, than normal. So normally when I do a wrapped loop on a cut piece of wire, I only come down about 1.5 inches, 2 inches at the very most, right? Well, for this, since we're doing a larger loop, I want to come down more like 2.5 inches, maybe even 3, okay? So that's why you got to have plenty of wire for this. So I'm holding the wire, and I'm going to give the wire a bend with my chain nose pliers. Now, instead of coming in with my round nose pliers, I'm going to come in with my large bell making pliers. I'm going to use the smallest of the 2 mandrels. And for those of you who are curious what that's going to be on your stepped bell making pliers, or if you're just using like a wooden mandrel or a wooden dowel, that's a 5 millimeter mandrel. It's going to give us about a 6 millimeter loop. Okay. So just whatever you can find that is close to that. So we treat this the same way to get started. We place the wire between the mandrels of the plier, and we take the wire up and over that top barrel, which is this smaller one. Okay. To close our loop up, we do need to rotate, right? And then take the wire over to the other side. So we had to take that bottom barrel and make it the top barrel so that we could take the wire all the way over to get our loop closed up. Now I'm going to wire wrap. So again, just exactly like we would a regular wrapped loop, it's just a little bit larger. The difference is going to come up after we add a bead, and I'm going to show you. Okay, so we take that off, and that's what we've got, which is cute, right? I like it. I like it a lot, actually. I'm going to trim off the excess wire. Okay, now we're going to add a bead to this. So I'm going to take one of my beads. I'm going to thread that on. Looks like I'm going to need a spacer or some sort of, because see, the hole on my bead is a little bit bigger than the wire wrap. So I'm going to have to find something to go on here. Let's see. What shall I use? I have some bicones here. They're not the same color as my, I don't think it'll matter. I think it'll all be okay. So I'm just going to use some of these bicones. Okay. So I'm going to use a bicone. You can use a seed bead if you want to, if you have that same problem. There are a lot of remedies for this, but I'm going to thread on a bicone. Okay. And then I'm going to thread on my lampwork bead and then another bicone. I don't know if I like that or not. To be completely honest with you, I guess so. I guess it's all right. I mean, who doesn't like a fancy little bicone? Okay, so now when we go to do the loop on the other end with the large bell making pliers, things get a little bit tricky. It's not hard, it's just a little bit different because of the space that we are working in. So let me show you what I mean. So hi Danielle. We're going to come in. Danielle, I need to send you a message here after a while. I have like a crazy busy day, but as soon as I get a chance, I was going to ask you something. All right, so I'm going to come in with my chain nose pliers, right? Just all the same steps as normal. I'm grabbing the wire right where it is exiting the bead, and then I'm going to bend the wire over the top of the pliers so that when I take that away, I've got that same amount, right, of room between the top of the bead and the bend to do our wire wraps. Here's where things get a little weird though, because notice we only have like a tiny amount of room right here, right? That's not nearly big enough to accommodate the large barrel of the large bell making pliers. And that's the one that's going to have to go on the bottom, right, to make our loop. So what happens is when we go to put our wire between the barrels of the pliers, we are off to the side. Instead of lined up right over our bead, we're over here to the side. That's okay. I'm going to show you how to center it up, but just realize that that's just kind of the way this is going to work. Okay. So we're going to follow the same steps. We're going to take the wire and we're going to go up and over the top barrel of those pliers. Now, when we go to rotate the pliers, okay, we're also going to kind of twist our loop and put it in the spot where we need it to be. So this is what this movement is. I'm holding the wire with the pliers, so don't open them up. I'm going to twist my hand. I'm going to pull the wire and I'm going to center up the loop all in kind of one movement. So now you guys are at a funny angle here. Let me see if I can lift you up just a little bit. Now everything, see how now we're centered up as we can be, right? We've still got plenty of room to do our wire wraps, but that happened in all one movement. Fortunately, if you missed it and you didn't get it, we're going to do it again because we're going to do it a lot with all of our beads. Okay. But we're still going to wire wrap in between, right? And take that off of our pliers. And that's what we've got. So we've got our wrapped loops on either end. They're just large. I do have a little bit more wire than I needed left over, but that's fine because I just add this to my scraps pile. I'm going to come in with my cutter tool and I'm going to trim off the excess as close as I can. And if there are any pieces that are sticking up, I'm going to tuck those in. Just be careful if you're using bicones or a delicate glass bead in there. When you go to tuck your ends, you don't want to accidentally chip the top of your bead. So just be mindful. Just be careful. Okay. All right. So we're going to do a bunch of these and we're going to link these together. Oh, thank you, Laura. Oh, and I'll take those good vibes any day. Oh no, Tiara Cast is live right now too. Oh, but I won. Thank you, Jessica. I want to go watch the Tiara Cast live. How can I do both? How can I do my own live and watch them at the same time? Oh gosh. All right. So now I'm going to go cut another piece of my wire, and I'm not really measuring. You guys know how I am. I'm just kind of guessing. Okay. But we're going to wire wrap directly to this that we've already done. Okay. So I don't know that I have enough wire here, but we're going to hope that I do. Coming down on the wire again, come down a little bit further because you're making a larger loop than normal. Okay. Same steps. We're going to come in with the large bell making pliers using that small mandrel on the top oh gosh, and Nile is live too. What is going on? It is a crazy day today. All right, so taking that wire up and over that top barrel of those pliers, I'm going to rotate and then take the wire over to the other side. Now, before I wire wrap, I'm going to take this off, right? Taking it off of the tool because we want to wire wrap it directly to the one that we just did. So I'm going to take the tail end of that wire, I'm going to stick it through the loop, and then just snap those two together, right? It's kind of satisfying, honestly. Now, because I've got wire in my loop here, I can't put this back onto the pliers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my bent chain nose pliers, and I'm just going to hold on to that loop, and I'm going to take the wire and wrap it under our loop, right? Just like we normally would. And then I'm going to come in with my cutter tool and trim off the excess. Okay, so now we are directly connected. We're ready to add another bead. So I have another one of these lampwork beads. And yes, there are bead caps with those, but they don't really match. So I'm going to use these instead. Some of them had bead caps and some of them didn't. So I'll just save those bead caps for something else. We want another lampwork bead. Gosh, that's a pretty bead. I love beautiful lampwork. I cannot get enough of it. So pretty. All right, so another bicone. Okay, now we're going to do the same steps as before, but again, we have to remember that using the large bell making pliers means we have to make some adjustments with our wire. Okay, but same steps to start with. Coming in with my chain nose pliers, bending the wire over the top of the pliers, so I've got that room that I need. Okay, now coming in with, where'd they go? Oh, they're in my lap. My goodness, feels like a Monday to me. Coming in with my large bell making pliers, okay? But again, they're sitting off to the side because these beads and that mandrel are fighting with each other, right? There's just not enough room for me to put this right where it normally would be with our regular round nose pliers. That's okay, right? Taking this wire, going up and over the top barrel of the plier, okay? And you can see how weird that shape is and how off center from the top of our bead that is. What a weird angle too. But that's all right. Remember, we're going to take care of all of that all at the same time by kind of twisting the tool, and that's going to help line up that loop. See, we just twisted the tool and that straightens everything up. Okay. Then we're going to come in and we're going to do our wire wrap underneath. Okay. Oops. Just be careful again, because you've got those crystal beads in there if that's what you're going to use. So be careful. And there's our loop. So you can see, even though it was off to the side and it looked all funky monkey, we were able to line it up and make it, put it exactly where it needed to be. Okay. All right. So coming in with my cutter tool, and I'm going to trim off. Okay. All right. So we've got several more of these to do. So I hope that you don't mind to see this a few more times, because we're going to do this section all together. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more of these. Then we're gonna change this up a little bit, and we're gonna do these wrapped loops without beads and just some wire wrap in the middle. Okay, so let's try to speed this up a little bit so that we can get through the rest of these beads, and then we'll put the rest of this together. Okay, so same things. Cut my wire, coming down on that wire quite a bit. Right? Got to make room. Okay. I'm going to come in with my large bell making pliers, grabbing the wire, taking it up and over, rotate the pliers, and take the wire over to the other side. Okay. Before we close that loop though, we're going to attach it, take the tail end through the loop, and just snap those two together. Okay. Bent chain nose pliers, and we are going to wire wrap. Okay, come in with my cutter tool, trimming off, and we're ready to add our next bead. I'm trying to keep these in the order. That's why I'm taking them off one at a time and not like just dumping them, because I really want to keep them in the order that they're in on the little thing that they came on, the wire that they came on, because I just love the way they are. So a bicone, my next bead, another bicone. Okay, coming in, my chain nose pliers, give the wire a bend. Colleen has brought up a good point. I want to know, and I see Nicole's question. I'll get to that here in just a second too. I want Colleen's comment to go across over here to the Facebook people as well, because the Facebook people don't always see the YouTube comments. And she says, just a gentle reminder, if you bought a maker mix this month, tomorrow's the last day to post your finished jewelry pictures for to the community page to be eligible for the October drawing. So don't forget about that, guys. If you've made a project with your maker mix for October, post it. Today's your last day, because we're going to draw our winner, and that'll be on Friday. Okay, the next question, Nicole says, Linda wants to know, where are the beads from? I honestly don't know. I've had them for a while. I believe that I got them on Etsy, but I don't remember where. I can look though and try to find out for you. There are several really, really good lampwork artists on Etsy. All right, so again, coming in to do our loop on the top of this and our bead and everything, our loop's going to be off-centered at first, but that's all right. So we're going to proceed as normal, right? But you can see how far off we are. Now, when I rotate the pliers, normally with the round nose pliers, I actually open and rotate the tool. But for this, we need to rotate the wire as we rotate the tool. So I'm going to, what did I just do? I'm going to rotate it all at the same time, right? By keeping the tool closed, and that's gonna straighten up our loop. And then switching hands. Okay, and then we are going to wire wrap. Okay, so we've wire wrapped in that space. Take that off, and we're ready to trim the excess. Okay, and tucking in with the pliers, just being gentle. Don't want to crack those bicones. Gosh, that's going to be so pretty. All right, next bead up is one of these really cool lentil beads. So let's grab another piece of wire. Yes, Karen. Karen says she didn't get her maker mix yet. Can she enter next month? Yes. So we do it every month. So no worries. No worries. Kathy says she's loving these big hoopy loops. Me too. All right. Up and over. Rotate the pliers. Take the wire over. Right. And then through that loop and just snap the two together. Peggy Jana is not with me. She's not. We may have to, she and I both are just having kind of a crazy week, and it's only Tuesday. So she may not be here till next week, but we don't know yet for sure. Since I've got a sick kid in the house and Jana just got over bronchitis, it's probably not a really good idea for her to be here right this second, but we still have plans coming up. So she's not getting away from me that easy. So bicone, the lentil. I do, Katie. I can see them. I don't see all of them because sometimes the comment thing goes by quick, but I do see the YouTube comments as well. Did I miss something? All right, so there's that. Okay, same steps, coming in, chain nose pliers, bending the wire. Okay, coming in with our large bell making pliers, we're going up and over. This time I am going to kind of rotate the pliers because we were able to get a little bit closer. If I turned my lentil to the side, I had more room that time. So it really just kind of depends, right, on the size of the bead versus the top of the pliers. So this bead was the exception to the rule of being off-centered and kind of twisting the wire in for our loop. Okay. Cheryl wants to know the lampwork designer. I'm not real sure. I'll have to look it up. I will share, though. I'll let you guys know. I'll go look back at my Etsy history and find out. I'm sure the artist would be more than happy for me to tell you guys. So I don't mind to do that at all. I love a beautiful lampwork bead. So is that not just beautiful? I mean, it really, really is. It's just gorgeous. Okay. So we're going to keep going here. We've got a few more of these, and then we're going to do some that are that twisted kind of crazy wire, just to make things a little bit more fun. Not that this isn't fun, but it's cool to learn at least one more technique, right? Never learn too much in one day. Okay, so coming in, up and over. I'll try to speed up a little bit. I say that, but then I never actually go any faster. Okay, take those two, snap those together. Okay. All right. Jan's asking how everybody's doing. How are you doing, Jan? I'm sending you big hugs. All right. Another bicone. Lampwork. Bicone. Helena, Alabama. Hello from Helena, Alabama. All right. Tamara says it's dangerous to search for lampwork beads. It is, because they're all so beautiful, and they all have their own little personality, and it's so hard to just pick a few, and they can be really expensive, but yeah. All right, coming in with the large bell making pliers. Now again, we are off to the center again because we don't have much room, right? And that's all right, because we're going to work around that. We're going to take the wire up and over. And now when we rotate, we're rotating everything. So take the wire and kind of see how I just rotate the whole thing, right? That is going to center up that loop. And then you do the wire wrapping under the loop and on the top of the bead. Okay. And then we're ready to come in and trim off. I love it. You guys are like totally multitasking, because you've got, some of you are literally watching the Tiara Cast live, my live, Neely's live, and bead shopping all at the same time. That's impressive. That is impressive. All right, we've got 4 more of these, and then we're going to move on. I'm going to actually just go ahead and cut the wire for these while we're talking about it, all right? Okay. Okay, coming in, chain nose pliers, bend the wire. It's totally impressive multitasking, because I can barely chew gum and walk at the same time. So, you know, all right. That's really not true, because obviously I can make jewelry, teach, and answer questions and read comments all at the same time. But there are certain things I am just not good at multitasking, just not all things. Okay, so our loop's made. We're going to slide that one right into the one we just made. Bent chain nose pliers. Okay, when I hold this with my bent chain nose pliers, just a little side note, see how close I hold to where the wires are crossing? I find that really kind of helps not to distort my loop too much, right? If I hold as close as possible, it really holds that shape. But if I try to hold down here or towards the middle of the loop, and I go to do my wire wrapping rather, it kind of makes my loop turn more into an oval. So I don't know if that's true for everybody, but just a little side note from me and my experience. All right. Bicone, lamp work, bicone. Cooking and math is not a great multitask for Sarah. You are so true. Or that is so true. Anything that involves math, I absolutely 100% cannot do anything else at the same time. Just can't. I just can't. Which is funny because I was really good at math in school, but like when I got out of math, except for geometry, I was horrible at geometry. But when I got out of school, it's like my brain just dumped all that. Said, nope, we don't need that anymore. All right, bending the wire over the pliers. Now this is the bead that's the exception to the rule. So I'll show you coming in. You can see I'm much closer now, right? Because this bead, when you turn it to the side, it doesn't take up nearly as much room. So there's not a need for all of that crazy like twisting, and I can actually just treat these pliers the way I would regular round nose pliers. Okay. And then I'm just going to switch hands and wire wrap in between there. I do find that it's easier to use my pliers to do the wrapping next to these big pliers though, because there's just not enough room for my fingers to get in there, right? All right, taking that off of the tool. Oh my gosh, come on. Made that one really tight on the tool, apparently. So much for going faster. You guys, I gotta tell you, and Kathy can vouch for me, though she's not eaten any of my cooking yet, but since I am single parenting now, I'm doing not all, because my son likes to cook. He does like the steaks and mushrooms and stuff, but I've been doing so much better with cooking. I really have. Like I'm getting my sea legs in the kitchen. So eventually that joke's not going to work anymore. I won't be able to say that I can't kitchen because I in fact can. All right, we've got two more. No, we've got three more. Oh my gosh, we need to go a little bit faster. I need to stop talking and just do this. Okay, loop. Right. Kathy says, vouching, because she's always in the kitchen. I am, but part of that is because I also like to eat, and that is where the food is. But it's kind of true. If I'm not in the office, I'm in the kitchen. So, all right. I'm getting better. I'm getting better at it. I was just out of practice, you know? The math part and the measurements, that still totally messes me up. But you know what? That's what Google is for. So I don't even worry about it anymore. And for now, I can blame it on not being, for being out of practice. Like if I mess something up, right, I give myself grace because I'm like, I haven't been in the kitchen in a while. Okay, up and over, and we're off to the side. So we're going to do that weird kind of rotating movement. Eventually, though, that whole excuse about, well, I'm new at this, I'm just remembering how, that's not going to work anymore when I mess things up. So I am aware. I am aware that excuse doesn't last forever. Those of you who love math are totally killing me right now. I just don't speak numbers. I just don't. I wish I did, because it would certainly make my life a lot easier, but words are my thing. Numbers, not so much. I'm just not confident in numbers. Okay, two more to go. Mona says, where do you post your contest picture? So you can post the contest picture over on the Facebook business page, which even if you don't have Facebook, right, you can still access the Facebook business page, which is why that's an option. And otherwise, you can post it in the community group. All right, so taking the tail, sticking it through that loop. Holding with my bent chain nose pliers. Aw. She's wearing her Give Yourself Grace t-shirt today. I should have been wearing mine today too. Oh, okay. Wait, what? Word of the day? Look at her eye candy. Whose eye candy, Susie? What are you talking about? Are you looking at this eye candy, or like, are we talking about something that I need to pay attention to? Hey, speaking of eye candy, did you guys see the Chiefs actually won this weekend? We've had such a bad season. We actually won a game. I was so happy. So happy. All right, up and over. Doing our weird kind of twisting and turning the pliers thing. See, that's what I think of when I think of eye candy. I think you guys are talking about beads, but I'm definitely thinking about something else. All right. Susie says, yes, what you're doing. Oh gosh. Shelly says she doesn't talk numbers either. So I'm not alone. I'm not alone. Okay, we've got one more, and then we're going to do some of these little funky cool ones, and then we're going to finish our necklace. And there's actually a couple of different ways. Well, I mean, you can do whatever you want to finish this, but we're going to talk about a couple of the options. And I didn't even add these in, but I think I will in just a minute. I don't know. I really wanted to add those, but then I ended up with the bicones. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We're kind of working on the fly here because I knew what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do it with you guys. So, all right. Last of our loops with our, oh, somebody's grumpy. Who's grumpy? No grumpies. Have a Snickers bar. Come on now. Do you need a hug? I hug you virtually. No grumpy faces. We don't do that here. That's what I tell my kids and my dogs when they do something I don't like. I'm like, we don't do that here. We don't do the grumpy faces here. Marianne says, with geometry, you got to know algebra and trig. I know. I just wasn't good at it. I had to take geometry twice. Now, granted, the first time I had to take it, the first time I took it, part of the reason that I didn't pass it was because I sat next to a cute boy. Boys have always been kind of my downfall. The second time I took it, I did pass it, but I had to study really hard, and it was just difficult. It was just difficult for me. 3-dimensional numbers is like, whoa, that's just way too much. All right, up and over. I'm going to do that kind of rotate and twist all at the same time. Okay. Oh my gosh, Jessica, I have Snickers in my bead drawer, and I have Snickers in my bedside table. It's so funny. I am one of those as well. Oh my gosh. Kim says her dog Jack just got skunked. I am so sorry. Danielle, that's too funny. We do now. We don't do that here. Yeah, we kind of do. Okay, so check it out. How beautiful is that, right? And I have to tell you, I think part of the reason that this is so cool, other than the fact that the beads are gorgeous, is those big loops, they really kind of act as spacers. It gives it kind of a chain feel to it, right? The color of the wire definitely adds a little bit of more visual interest to this. The crystal beads, they really kind of disappear. So I'm kind of second guessing my choice because I used those Austrian crystals, and I'm thinking, well, now you don't really even see them because of the gorgeous lampwork beads. Maybe I should switch those out for something less expensive. but I don't know. But I do find that this is really cool because each bead is spaced out with those large loops, giving it its own kind of leg to stand on. You know what I mean? Like they each individually have their own little place to shine instead of them all being kind of crammed up and you're looking at them as a whole, which they look great that way too. But I do think it's nice to be able to give each individual bead its due respects because these are all handmade. You know, I mean, they all deserve their own little moment to shine. Okay, so just real quick, we're going to do some of these little funky wire wraps. We'll just do 2 of them and then we'll finish this off. So for a wrap that looks like this, that does not contain a bead, right? These are kind of fun. If you're looking for to space things out even more, you can put these in between. So do a bead and do one of these, a bead, and then one of these. These are just a fun little easy trick to have. And they work not just with the large loops, but with any size loop. Okay. So if you need some extra space and you want to add some metal to your jewelry designs, this is a cool one. So for this though, you're going to need about 8 inches of wire. And I'm actually going to get my ruler out. Let's see. Nicole says, do you prefer the bell making tool you were using or something like a 6-in-1? I actually prefer the 6-in-1. It's my favorite. But I do realize that not everybody has the 6-in-1, the stepped bell making pliers. For those of you who are curious as to what she's talking about, it's this one where you can make 6 different size loops instead of just 2. I love this tool. I use it for so many things, but not everybody has this. Whereas I feel like a lot of people might either have the large bell making pliers or something that is around the same. So you can use like a marker and a ballpoint pen. You know what I'm saying? So you can get really close with that. But I do prefer the other one. All right, so about 8 inches, I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 of these while we're at it, is as much wire as you're going to need. It actually does take quite a bit of wire, so you got to be kind of prepared in advance if that's the route you're going to take, if you want to make some of these. But I find that it's worth it. So we're going to do a little bit different. So since we're not using a bead on this, when we go to do our bend in the wire, we're actually going to come down almost to the halfway point of our wire. In fact, you can come just right to the halfway point if you want to. Okay, so come down about 4 inches, then give the wire a bend. Okay, now you're going to come in with your tool. We're going to start out exactly the same, making our loop. Okay, but now you'll see we have all this excess wire. It's exactly what I need. I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it directly onto one of our ends. So just snap it together just like normal, right? Same steps here, coming in with the bent chain nose pliers, and we're going to do some wire wraps. But this time our wire wraps, I want to do like 4 or even 5 wire wraps. Okay. So making it just a little bit longer. Now, don't trim off this excess wire. Leave that. Don't cut it off yet. Yes, you're going to have to work around it, but just leave it. Okay. Now, same thing. Coming in with our chain nose pliers again, and I'm putting those right above the wraps we just created. Bending the wire. Okay. Coming in. Now, again, you might have to kind of bend that wire that I don't want you to cut off. You might need to bend it out of the way. Coming in, up and over. I'm going to rotate, do our little twist here, line all that up. Okay, I'm going to switch hands, and we are going to wire wrap and make those wire wraps meet up. Okay. Now I'm going to take these 2 wires and I'm going to do the messy business. So I'm actually going to leave this on the tool. You can take it off if you want to, but I'm going to take, actually, yeah, let's hold it with our bent chain nose pliers. It might be a little bit more sturdy. I'm going to messy wrap. Goodness. I wish I had another way to make it a little bit more sturdy, but we're going to messy wrap. If you're using a thinner gauge wire, this is not nearly as challenging. Okay, see how I'm just kind of building up those wraps? I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other side. I'm going to switch hands. So I'm just taking that wire and I'm actually going to bundle a wire wrap Chunky Monkey style over what's already there. I hate that that's twisting like that, but you see what I'm doing? So I'm just like chunky building it up. Then I'm going to take it off and take a look at it. You got to use your fingers here, right? Because you're going to fill this in however you want to. Bend that one around. Okay, kind of filling in the spaces. Now, I will tell you something about this that's really cool. I'm using, of course, the German style wire in this antique brass. Okay. If you use sterling silver wire or bare copper, you can make these crazy little messy wrap sections and then put them in pickle, right? Some of you know what I'm talking about. And it will darken up all of the wire, right? It'll turn it all kind of a blacky color. And then you can come in and buff it and it will bring it to a shine. But all of those little crevices and creases in that wire will hold that dark. And it just looks really cool. It really just kind of antiques the entire thing, right? So let's do another one. So there's one messy one. We're going to do another one. Okay, so I'm going to come down on the wire. Yeah, you're making your own little connector. It's fun. Jessica says she loves Chunky Monkey wraps. I do too. I do too. They're fun. Okay, so remember 8 inches of wire. So we got plenty of that extra tail. Snap those two together. Okay, we're going to wire wrap. Whoops. About 3 or 4 times. Just kind of depends on how much room you want. And I'm going to bend that one well out of the way. Okay. And I'll do one of these off of the design too, just to show it to you one more time after we finish this one. Nicole has a Chunky Monkey Chihuahua. I have a Chunky Monkey Chihuahua too. A very old Chunky Monkey Chihuahua. All right, so there's our loops. Just going to do the Chunky Monkey wire wrapping around. All right, just do messy, right? I mean, because that's part of what makes this look so cool is that it's messy. Can you do it all nice and neat? Of course you can. But I'm going for that kind of messy wraparound. Crazy. Messy bun with wire. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, gosh. So I just do a little bit with one and then a little bit with the other, right? And just kind of fill in. Wrap around however you want to. You can overlap them if you want to. See how fun, right? And now I'm just going to come in with my cutter tool and trim off the excess. Now with the excess, you want to try to trim as close down into the wraps as possible. And if you're not close down in there, you need to try to bend your wire and find a spot to cut it that's close. The reason I say that is because you don't want that little piece of wire to come out, right? You don't want it to come away from the wraps and then get hung on your clothing. So definitely wherever you trim, try to tuck that end in as best as you can. Okay. So there's another one of our little messy. So we'll do one more real quick that isn't attached and then we'll finish our necklace. Okay. Because I just want to show it to you one more time. It is a little bit easier if it's not going directly onto the necklace. So the first one is always the easiest. This is not nearly enough wire. Hold on. Okay. So coming in, bend the wire. So I'm just showing you real quick one more that's not attached. Because you can always use these. Oh, sorry. You can always use these as earrings as well. So I've got one that's already made. I'm going to make another one and I'll probably make some matching earrings. All right. So wrap around a few times there. Definitely want to just kind of move that out of the way. Okay. There's our second loop on that one. Definitely just make the wire do what you want it to do. Don't let it boss you around, right? All right. So with this one, go a little bit more messy. All right. Oh, Colleen says we had a creeper. We did? I missed it. Colleen makes quick work of them, though. She get rid of them. Yeah, you definitely can patina on the wire. But if you want to use something like pickle, so patina paints will work. But if you want to do patina, like a pickle patina, you have to be using sterling silver or bare copper, because all of these other wires that have the color, they have that coating over them. So the pickle doesn't really penetrate that coating very well. In fact, it'll eat it off and make it just kind of gross looking. So that's why I say you need to do that with sterling silver or bare copper. However, patina paints work just as well, and they will work on the wires that have the color. So aren't those fun? I think those are super cute. I'm going to use these as connectors for earrings that are going to match my design when I get to that point. But for now, let me clean up our mess a little bit and let's talk about how we can finish this necklace. There are a couple of different things that you can do, and I can't really decide what I want. So I pulled out a thing of sari ribbon, and it doesn't match. And I intentionally picked out a color that it does match, but the color is not in this design. It's just in the family of things that match. Or you could just finish this off with some chain if you wanted to, right? Or you could, I realize you guys can't see all of that all at once. Or you could do leather, which I'm so close to picking the leather, but I really wanted to use the sari ribbon. And you can see, so it's not really, it does match, but this color is not exactly in here, right? But it's in the same color family. So I was thinking maybe that's what I would do instead. So we'll just do that. In fact, I've got a couple of projects coming up, you guys, where we're going to be using some fabric scraps and sari silks and things. So I have this really long piece. I'm going to cut it in half. Where are my scissors at? I'm going to cut this in half. So now I have two pieces. Okay. And I'm going to take one of them and I'm going to put it through the loop over here on one end and find the halfway point. So I'm going to bring my two ends together and fold it in half. Now, if you want to tie an overhanded knot here, you can. But since we've got lots of chunky monkey wire going on, I'm going to do some more chunky monkey wire. So I'm just going to wire wrap mine. I'm going to take some of this wire, fold it over. This is always kind of tricky to get started, but I'm just going to do a, it's hard because this is like 20 gauge wire. I'm thinking maybe I should go down in a gauge because this is definitely a little bit harder to messy wrap over the silk with, but we'll make it work. I'll make it work. I don't want to get up. I'm feeling lazy. right? So I'm just gonna like, same thing with what we were doing with our little connectors here. We're just doing that over the exact same thing over the top of our sorry ribbon here, right? Just kind of chunky monkey on that. And I'm not a huge fan of the way that turned out, but you know what? That's all right. And it's not permanent. I can always kind of like come in later, straighten it up a little bit more. I can even take it apart after you guys are gone. But that's kind of what I was going for. Okay. So I'm going to trim off. And same thing, you want to trim this as close as you can because you don't want that piece of wire where you cut it to come out and get hung on your clothing. Right? All right, so there's that on one side. Let's go and do that to the other side. Okay, so same thing. Okay. And we need another piece of wire to wrap around that. Okay. Really is a lot harder to do this with this 20 gauge wire than it is with some of the, so I usually do this with like a 24 gauge and it's not nearly as challenging. It's all about holding everything still so that you can wrap around, right? Okay, so there's that one. I'm going to trim off the excess. Now for the ends, you have a lot of options as well. We can do this exact same thing on the ends and just fold our ends over a jump ring, right? You can glue this into a bead cap. You can do so many different things. Want to make sure that it's as even as possible, right? And then I also want to be sure that it's even on the ends. It's looking pretty good. I am going to trim these and make them just a little less mess, right? And I think that's what I will do. I think I will just kind of fold these over. Actually, you know what? I won't. I'm not going to use any more wire here. I'm going to do a knot, but I got to get a jump ring first to do that. So let's grab an antique brass jump ring here. Let's see. And I'm going to use kind of a big jump ring since we're going to tie a knot over it. Let's see. That might be too big. Just dump out my mess of jump rings here. So we're just going to make a big mess. Do I have a clasp? I have a monster size clasp. We'll do that. It's okay. I don't want to dig and I can always change the clasp later. It's definitely going to be interesting looking. Okay, so for the smaller jump ring, I'm gonna put that one on the clasp since the clasp is already huge. I have no idea where that clasp even came from. Close this jump ring up. Make sure you get a good closure. Okay, stop barking, boys. Okay, now Dottie says, what makes a lampwork bead a lampwork bead? It's the technique is lamp working. You should Google it. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know people who do it. Okay, so I'm going to take my tails. So both ends of my ribbon on this side. Okay. And then you can just tie an overhanded knot. You can fold them together, going in the same direction if you want to. It doesn't make any difference. But I'm basically just going to tie that jump ring Now, if you want to add a little bit of fabric glue to this, you can. But honestly, I wouldn't overdo it because it will tear up your ribbon. And you can trim it off too if you want to. I like it with that at the top. It doesn't bother me. Some people will not be a fan of that. So you can trim it off right next to your knot if you want to and add a little bit of fabric glue. There are some really cool videos on YouTube about lamp working if you want to see, you know, how it's done. I have some friends here in town who do it, and I've always wanted to learn how to do it, but like I need a new skill. Like I need, you know, I just don't. I cannot have another hobby. I just cannot. All right, so tying a knot on that one as well. And that's it. If you are not a fan of this, like I said, if you want a cleaner finish, you can trim off. You can do cord ends. You know, you can do like tassel toppers or necklace ends, cones, bead caps to put over the top of that so you don't see any of it. You can also just fold it over without a knot and bind it with some of the wire like we did down here. That helps with your tails as well. So there are a lot of different things here. Karen says it involves fire. No, Sarah. I love it that you're looking out for me because, yeah, I don't do sharp objects or fire, which is what makes kitchening so difficult for me. So there you go, right? How pretty is that? I know it's hard to see just laying here, but I'm going to put it on the bust so you can look at it, right? Okay, so I'm going to turn you around. I think this really turned out really, really beautiful. I had totally different vision of what this was going to be, but I got to tell you, I'm so happy with the way that it turned out that it doesn't even bother me that it didn't come out looking the way it did in my head. So first of all, it's really long, right? It's so pretty. It's so, so pretty. I can double this up on the bust though, so you can. No, that's just funny looking. I'm not going to do that. I'll just shorten it up with my hands here because that did look kind of funny. But that blue just really, for whatever reason, works with those beads. I'm telling you. So pretty. And, you know, it's not super involved, right? As far as technique is concerned. We're just doing wrapped loops just on a larger mandrel. There's just a small little adjustment you have to make with that. But overall, it looks so different. It would look so much different if we did this with our round nose pliers. It wouldn't necessarily have as much space in between there. Those beads wouldn't have their own little spot to shine. It would still be pretty, but it's cool to be able to take a technique that you already know how to do, tweak it just a tiny bit by making it larger, making it smaller, and the results are so different. So I hope I've inspired you, right, with your wrapped loops to kind of think outside the wrapped loop box. There you go. Isn't it pretty? And then all these little areas, you know what I'm thinking. I'm gonna put little dangles in all of those. But I don't think I will. Where did you get your sari ribbon, says Bonnie? I got my sari ribbon on Etsy. Etsy's a great place if you're looking for specialty stuff. If you're looking for lampwork beads, if you are looking for sari scraps, and that's what I look for. I don't buy sari ribbon in great big bags because I'll never use that much of it. So I search for sari ribbon scraps or sari scraps or fabric scraps. And it's an inexpensive way to get small amounts of this stuff that is good for one or two projects, right? Where you don't end up with a whole bag of it and you're like, I'm never going to use all this. And speaking of, I mentioned it before, but I'm going to mention it again. I'm going to be doing a couple more projects coming up where we're using some fabric scraps and some ribbon scraps. So if you're interested in that, definitely come back. Next week, we're going to be doing bargain bead box. I don't know if I'll incorporate any fabric scraps into that one, but I might. But I definitely have two projects coming up where I'm going to be using fabric and ribbon. If it's not next Tuesday, it'll be the Tuesday after that. So be looking forward to that. I love fabric designs and I'm kind of on a fabric design kick right now. So that's why I wanted to do those. But isn't that beautiful? I think I might put it in the Etsy shop. So if you're looking for a finished piece, it may be there by the end of the week. Somebody asked about the bracelet that I have on. So the bracelet that I have on, I actually did this on the Jewel Loom. It is cathedral check glass beads with some green colored hemp and green wildfire. And it is just secured with a toggle button. It's kind of messy at the ends, but that's the way I like it. But it was just a pretty straightforward, quick and easy Jewel Loom project. So yeah. Katie says she always looks for ideas with Sari Silk. I got you covered. We're going to do some fun ones. So I'm looking forward to those coming up. I hope you guys are too. When you use patina, does it stain your beads? It depends. If you're going to do a patina dip, like with a pickle, you definitely need to be sure that I would test ahead of time. You know what I'm saying? Like there are certain things it won't stick to. Gemstones in particular usually are not affected by it. But now other beads with other treatments on them, I'm not 100% sure about that. I know that it can damage certain beads and certain treatments to beads, not necessarily the bead itself, but like that AB flash, sometimes that can come out looking real weird. So you always want to test ahead of time if you can. If you're going to just use the paints like these paints, you usually can clean it off of the beads. So if you get a little bit of mess on there, you can scrape it off. You can use a Q-tip to get it off, a little brush to get it off. But liver of sulfur. Yeah, that's what I mean. Liver of sulfur. I call it pickle. I don't know why. Liver of sulfur. That's what I have. Thank you for correcting me. But yeah. So anyway, I'm glad Myra's looking out for me because I've said that wrong the entire time. But yeah, you can kind of scrape this and clean this off of beads. But again, it's one of those things where I would try ahead of time before you commit to a whole design and then end up with ruined beads, right? So definitely like do a patch test, like when you color your hair. You know what I mean? Make sure your bead's not allergic. Okay. My silliness has no bounds. All right, my friends, I love you so, so much. Thank you so much for spending part of your Tuesday with me. It has been a blast. I hope that you have really enjoyed today's project and that I have inspired you. I will be seeing the Hardwired group, not this afternoon, but next or tomorrow, rather, at 4:30. I also have a Michael's class tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to come and check that out. And then for the rest of you guys, I'll be seeing you on Friday with our Feel Good Friday show. I have great kits this week. I cannot wait to show them to you. I'm excited about them. I hope you guys will love them as well. All right. Have a wonderful afternoon and I will see you guys again soon. Bye guys.